Folks, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show. We're here in San Luis Obispo with documentary filmmaker Nicole Hawkins. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Is this live?
No,
Okay.
we're not live. Don't worry. I just wanted you to talk about your earliest memories of the first film that you kind of, in your mind, was dreaming of. How early in your life did you want to be involved with making film?
I remember at a really young age thinking it was cool and exciting, but I didn't really actually see myself getting involved because the movies I had seen or that I knew of were these big production, millions of people on the credits, and I didn't know of that many other types of movies. And I got really into photography in high school, sort of by accident. I didn't get into the art class I wanted to get into, so they put me into black and white photography, and I was sort of like, that's not as cool, I won't get to use my hands as much. I didn't think of it as much as an art form, and but I had a really eccentric, amazing teacher, Peter Tyner, shout out to Peter Tyner, who was an artist and the photo teacher and the art teacher, and kind of just saw art as a way of thinking more than like which medium you use to explore it. And so he was just always experimenting with me, like we could mix these different chemicals together and paint this emulsion onto a paper and see what reaction it has. And so I got really excited about it and really into the idea of being able to use something like photography, which is meant to, well, I don't know if meant to, but has the potential to try to mirror reality, but then use these other artistic methods to show that it's also subjective, and it's also like a way, for me, it became a way for me to like capture memories and then like take time with them and change them through different processes. And
Why were you like, in some ways, why were you only hip to certain films? You said that you were hip to this big productions, but a lot of stuff was shut out of your.
yeah, I think just like, I mean, my parents are great people, but I don't think that I grew up in the suburbs, fourth of 5 kids. Nobody was really like pushing big boundaries, so it's not that I think they were trying to like limit my exposure, but I think if we'd go to the movies, we were going to see Harry Potter, like we were going as a whole family to see.
I dig.
These
Family's got it. That's what a family's
family
about.
flicks,
Absolutely.
and
It's what it's about.
I was like fourth grader writing about my favorite movie being Zoolander type movies. I didn't know about the breadth of what film could mean and be, and so in college I was studying photography, and a filmmaker who was also a photographer began teaching a moving image class to the photo students. And I remember I was really excited about it. I was already intrigued by film, but I thought of myself still as a photographer getting excited about film.
Absolutely.
And the first film where I was like, it resonated with me more than photography had. It resonated with me in a way where I felt like it was speaking my language, was watching a Les Blank film, The Blues According to Lightnin' Hawkins. And the way that he had edited it, and the way that he was conducting his interviews.
How did he edit it? What did you like about that? Like,
I just felt like
he was working with a lot of like raw material. That the film, if they had any from that time, was like old.
Right, and I think that watching something, seeing just his hand-drawn title credits and seeing
the artistry
and the moments that, seeing how he could take a theme that was serious and also weave moments that caught his eye of curiosity and humor, and it felt so human in a short amount of time. It's only like, it's not a feature like the film, and yeah, I think that got me really excited about the breadth of what documentary could be, that it didn't just have to be sit down and have these like studio lights on somebody and do deep delve documentary project. It could be more free-flowing, it could be more human, it could be more observational, and you could get this sense of that it felt like Les Blank was becoming friends with any of the people he was making films with, and that he was filming things that seemed like he had gotten invited to a dinner party or to a gathering of close friends, and was given access and permission to and trust to show those things. And that was the type of community that I am drawn to, of being able to use my camera as a way to get closer to people and understand people, rather than just like being obsessed with the camera itself. It was just like
Being able to look through, absolutely.
To open
Yeah.
doors and to explore what I wanted, and be like, I'm going to do a project on this, so that I could actually just learn about something else. And
This is important for the audience that's going to be watching this. What is it? You are trying to finish a documentary, and I just want you to talk a little bit about what it's about, but also why it's important for society and humanity for it to come out, and why people should be helping get this thing across the finish line.
Yeah. So kind of along that realm of using the camera as a way to do what I want to do and explore what I wanted to explore, when I was living in Provo, Utah, as a student at Brigham Young University, a recently returned Mormon missionary, trying to understand what that meant, and try to earnestly explore my spirituality and my relationship to other people, as I was also having a lot of, internal anxiety and conflict about my own beliefs and what different things meant to me and the trajectory of my own life. And I overheard one time, I was on a double date with a person I had served a mission with and 2 other friends, to go see a concert, and we went downstairs after the show, and I could hear some off-key singing happening. And I have always loved karaoke, and have always loved the vulnerability of people being able to sing without having the skills, because I love music and I love expression and singing and using my voice, even though I have no
Who cares?
musical abilities. And so
no
karaoke
formal
is
training or anything. It's okay though. I mean,
and not even really, the highest sense of tastefully delivering those songs, but it was more about like the exorcism of karaoke, using song to release something, has always excited me. And seeing people in a like silly, vulnerable state, still trying to tap into emotions and share them with people, I think also made me love karaoke. So I overheard this, and that was kind of this slippery slope for me, because I didn't know that right there in this community that seemed very homogenous, it seemed like everybody was, my age, college students, white, middle-class conservative Mormons, that to see that there was this little underground world of individuals that didn't seem to make as much sense to me, of like why they were living in Provo, Utah, and that were going by themselves to sing their hearts out on a Wednesday night in a pretty much empty room.
I love that though.
And that became sort of like a second home and temple to me. That location ended up changing, and different things happened since then. But that idea of having community through this expression like that, it was the first time I'd seen karaoke not as just like a social thing. It was something people were going by themselves to do, even if there was no audience, and that was really intriguing to me. So I decided to start photographing it and asked their permission, and was like, I'm gonna work on this project for this semester, and I'm gonna photograph people singing here. And I started going every week and started becoming friends with the people going, and I was just photographing it all. And then the photography part became like very secondary. Like I wouldn't bring my camera anymore after a while, or sometimes I would, or sometimes I wouldn't. But I gave myself permission to make it like a strict ritual, because I was telling myself that this was for my research and for my project, and so I didn't feel guilty about going on a school night every week, missing any other gatherings or commitments or homework assignments, because this was important to my work to go sing karaoke. And this went on for many years. I wasn't really doing anything with the photographs, but I was just collecting them. The only thing I would do with them was share them with the people I was taking them of, because it felt more like important to them and to us, and that I was sort of the historian in our community, and we just became a family and became really close. And I was very aware that I was being let in, even though I represented kind of what they were hiding from, in that I was a BYU student, and clearly, like, physically and my demographic fit the mold of this, the mold that they didn't think that they fit into, like being a, like, cisgendered, white, straight, Mormon upbringing person.
This is what I want you to.
Yeah.
I mean, I want you to talk to. I think you're somebody that. I mean, I come to see these guys play music, Mapache, because they put me in the moment and they help me be myself. And you chose to be yourself. Mm-hmm. You didn't chose to conform to some dogma or some cultural bias and things. I mean, not. To me, at the end of the day, what is your message for all the Mormon community about why to support this documentary, and why is it important for the future?
Well, I think so. It ended up that this community of karaoke singers, the location ended up shutting down. A lot of stuff happened. The film kind of shows the trajectory of why it shut down, of some tragedy that happened within the film, of losing one of the crucial members in the community. And so I moved to New Orleans and couldn't really get it out of my head how much that being a part of this community had made me feel a deep sense of community and safety and security, to be whoever I want and to feel whatever I want and to believe whatever I want. And it wasn't really until leaving it that I realized how much of an existential crisis I was actually in, and had to kind of face that and confront that on my own.
So how did, go ahead.
So it became important to me to kind of reflect back on this community and then decide to try to see if I could retroactively piece a story together of something that no longer existed, but that seemed silly and like kind of goofy to take karaoke singing so seriously, but how it was actually tied to some really deep, eternal, big feelings that people were experiencing on an individual and on a community level. And so I feel like it ended up becoming this microcosm of understanding the universe for me and for so many people. And it helped me understand feeling accepted, feeling also displaced, and it helped me understand how sort of cosmically displaced I felt without it. And so then it helped me understand what was so cosmic about it. And in doing the stories and in talking to people about it, it was cool to see how many people all felt the same way. And I think the main message of the story is that everybody had a different perspective. There were people who were still in the Mormon church finding refuge there. There were people who were very much out of it, who had lost their community finding refuge there. But what everyone who chose to spend their time there did was sit and listen or stand and dance and cheer on any other person's story. And that idea of like being fully open to the experiences of those around us, not only to listen, but to actually like experience it with them and connect with them in a celebratory way like that, I think was really unique to that place, but I think it should be more ubiquitous than it is. And that's why I think it's an important story to share.
One final question is, can you talk about, like, is this a healing process for you? Like, you'll have, not closure, but just like the ability to, I always find like if there's ever any kind of like turbulence in my life with other people, I mean, I've always just wanted to have closure quicker, sooner than later. Mm-hmm. But the faith and the years of going over it, like you can't just work that like out like that.
No.
And I just wanted you to talk about how significant it is for your own healing process to make this documentary.
Yeah, I think in filming it and editing it, it was sort of a way for me to lean on the words of my friends to be able to understand my feelings myself. And I think editing it provided so much closure and healing to me, not just for the loss of this community in a way. I mean, it's not over. Like, it helped me realize that it doesn't have to be over. Like, the making of the movie kind of helped us find a new outlet of togetherness outside of karaoke, because everyone had kind of gone their separate ways, and then I was suddenly like, I'm making a movie, so I want to talk to you about this. And it helped us become friends more deeply outside of just within the karaoke bar. And then we then started having more spontaneous gatherings while I was in town for the movie, and so that was really healing, both for the end of that era as well as for a lot of the things we were all processing spiritually. And so yeah, I think that it absolutely has been integral to my own healing journey, which is not over. And I think it speaks to that aspect of that it's never really going to be over, and that we're all individually, like, no matter what your upbringing was, that we're all just learning about how to be better humans and what the meaning of life is, and that is subjective and can change. And so I think it carves out space for that dissonance and that paradox in a way that can be really healing for a lot of people, and myself included.
Nicole Hawkins, I love you always. Thank you so much. Look forward to the gig tonight, and we'll keep spreading the word. Do you have a name for the doc yet, or no?
Yeah, it's called Empty Orchestra, which is the etymology of the word karaoke in Japanese. Loosely translates to
Empty
orchestra in English.
I dig.
Yeah.
Let the body dance.
Yes.
It's the Jake Feinberg Show. See you later.
Thanks, Jake.